and for a holistic end-to-end innovation operating system. We are shaping and defining a software category called innovation management software.
And treating that sort of intelligence as optional clearly will be considered a severe leadership failure in the future.
What is innovation management software? We're not only operating all the activities you need to be innovative as an organization, we are guaranteeing a continuous innovation pipeline for our customers.
That's a team that's thinking years ahead already and shaping the future of the Volkswagen Group cars.
For us at least, our platform already has over 5,000 users from CARIAD in the platform which are actively using it. Single source of truth for all our market intelligence data.
That's coming together all in one platform. This is the ITONICS operating system.
How do you need to change an organization with all these external factors and internal factors driving you to change? That's the where to play part.
Welcome to the stage, Senior Innovation Consultant, Emily Jock.
All right, welcome everyone, live and online. We're here in Nuremberg, the birthplace of ITONICS, and therefore no better place than to host this, our inaugural IONX event. IONX is our home for launches and learnings, a focused showcase of what we're building, why it matters, and how teams put it to work. This is our opportunity to share with you our biggest product launch ever. You'll see what's new for teams in innovation, R&D, product, and strategy. And we're taking a deeper look into collaboration, real gains in productivity, and AI where it genuinely supports the work. You'll hear from some of our experts here at ITONICS, as well as a real success story from our customer Volkswagen CARIAD, how we deliver on security and trust at enterprise scale, and we'll close with a clear outlook on where we're headed next. Today is about three things: showing the big picture of how ITONICS runs innovation end-to-end, making it practical in real workflows with real organizations, and sharing what's trusted, new, and next.
Emily, thank you very much. And thanks everybody for joining us today for our biggest product launch since the company exists. So ITONICS is around since 2009. And since then, we are shaping and defining a software category called innovation management software. What is innovation management software? We're not only operating all the activities you need to be innovative as an organization, we are guaranteeing a continuous innovation pipeline for our customers. From trends and emerging technologies to products, from ideas to a packed R&D pipeline and portfolio. First of all, I would like to thank our customers and partners. Without your input and feedback and the co-development we oftentimes did in the past 16 years, we would not be the #1 innovation operating system around the globe today. You drive us to keep on pushing for better answers, for better automations, for more features, and for a holistic end-to-end innovation operating system. So please, a round of applause for our customers and partners. Thank you. And then, thank you to our global teams in Berlin, in Paris, in Kathmandu, in Cape Town, in Nuremberg, in Miami, and everybody working around the globe in some remote offices. Thanks to your hard work, your commitment, your dedication and passion, we're opening a new chapter, not only for our innovation operating system, but for this software category today. Thank you very much. But before that, we need to start with some basics. The end-to-end innovation management system and methodology we came up with 16 years ago in 2009, And as you can see on the slide, it never really changed. Yeah? We didn't ever polish it because it works and it's quite an established methodology today. So how do we define innovation in an end-to-end mode? We said the first thing you need to answer as any kind of organization is the where to play. So what does your strategy look like? Where do you want to grow into? How do you need to change an organization with all these external factors and internal factors driving you to change? That's the where to play part. And we define that in, you need to look at what we call the market pull and the technology push. And if you understand these both driving factors and you look at your individual situation, you can derive scenarios, you can derive opportunities for growth, and you can derive what you can basically do to grow and to continuously change and adapt your organization to any kind of external and internal factor. So that's the where to play part. Number two is then the how to win part. So now you have your strategies for success. You could also call it scenarios, for example. You have your opportunities for growth, and then you need to identify how to bring that to life. And that's the how to win part. And you can do that by collecting input, by ideas from external partners, from suppliers, from your employees, co-workers, from basically anybody, from patents, from scientific publications. But what you need to do is you need to funnel all this input and all this information into something structured. And then you need to take a decision or multiple decisions at any given point in time on what to execute on. And that's the third part. That might be the hardest part. How does your execution pipeline look like? How does your roadmap look like? How does your portfolios look like? Basically, where do you spend your money for growth? And this picture, we adapted a little bit, we configured a little bit, but it's the same picture since the very beginning, and it's quite an industry standard today, and that is basically what ITONICS is based on.
Right, so Mike, this end-to-end methodology is quite well established as best practice in innovation, and we've been living it successfully for many years with our customers. But what does this integrated and systematic methodology actually mean for us as a software company? Put plainly, what does ITONICS actually do?
Good question. I'm asking that myself oftentimes. No, I'm joking. So now, if you follow this methodology in innovating and R&D and strategy, you collect a lot of data, first of all. And all that data needs to sit somewhere, and that's what you could call knowledge management. So we have a gigantic knowledge management system where all this data can float in and float out, and you can generate some reports out of it, you can analyze it. That's number one. The second thing is workflows. To organize and structure how information flows through these steps, from the where to play, to the how to win, to the what and when to execute. Number three is collaboration. You have a lot of people around the globe collaborating in these activities, and most of the time it's not the same individuals. So you need to do some market research to understand what's happening outside. You need to do some research on your competition, for example. You need to also do some research on emerging technologies, and that can be hundreds or thousands of experts and individuals inside and outside your organization, and you need to collect all this data somewhere and organize it in some workflows on a collaboration basis. You need some rights and roles, of course, because some of this material might be not for everybody, at least in certain stages, depending on the industry you're in. Sometimes you have some secrets you want to hide, even inside of your organization. And sometimes you need full transparency. So when there is a new idea coming in, for example, you want to understand, is there somebody else already working on that? Do we have some similar information in the company already? Did we try this maybe already? So transparency is key to be a successful innovator. And basically an innovator that is productive over time. We have a lot of analytics built in because, of course, C-level wants reporting. They want to understand, I spent my money on certain bold bets or smaller bets, doesn't matter, but is it the right bets I'm spending my money on? So you need transparency, you need analytics, you need some reporting. It sounds like boring stuff, but that's kind of how the world works. And then we have a lot of automations. So with these automations, we allow that many of these typically very manual activities, and that can be, for example, trend scouting, or analyzing ideas, evaluating these things, pushing them through a stage gate process, that parts of this is automated where it makes sense. And today we will see a lot of AI features that really support the human in decision making at basically every single stage of this, call it end-to-end innovation process. Did I forget anything? Yeah, governance. So, of course, big organizations love governance. They love to understand what are we working on, where are we spending our money. So we have a governance framework around that to support you in really, let's say, driving innovation in the direction that helps your organization most. I think that's about it. And of course, it's an online system, so you can access it wherever and whenever you are. You can work on this thing 24/7. You don't need to wait for the next meeting or workshop or something. And it's not just basically, what we say is we bring structure into chaos. Because when I grew up into innovation roles in large corporates, what we did was brainstorming all the time. We did brainstorming to solve certain questions, to come up with digital strategies and stuff like that. And that at that time was, you go into a meeting room and you glue some stuff, post-it walls, and then you take a photo, and then that photo never shows up again. And you're like, what is this? And the same thing happens today. You just go online and you glue some post-it notes somewhere, and then weeks later you ask yourself, where did all that information go? But with ITONICS, it's a very, very structured process. Nothing gets lost in translation. Everything is fully transparent, and I think that's quite the magic of it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah. I mean, transparency, analytics, governance, and automation. And I'd like to talk a bit more about the automation part, because it's impossible to talk about innovation today, or really business in general, without talking about AI. It's the multiplier, it's the disruptor. And so can you talk a bit more about where AI comes into this? How does it change the flow, and what does it mean for teams working in innovation and R&D today?
We will see a lot of that today, later on. But from a more theoretical perspective, when you think of trend scouting, it sounds banal. You could ask everybody in the room today, what are the 5 most important trends for a specific organization, for ITONICS, or even for a country or an economy? You would get a lot of different answers to that. So first of all, collecting all these signals and figuring out, is this actually really a trend, or is it just a small minor thing we should aggregate to a trend? That is a lot of work. And then collecting everything that comes back from customers, customer feedback, that comes back from markets, that comes back from competition, that comes back from startups, for example. That is a lot of manual work. And AI can at least support you with that, or even 90% automate these activities, if you do it the right way. If you're not doing it the right way, we tested that like over the past couple of years, you get a lot of BS coming out of this. But if you do it in the right context, with the right intentions, and you have the right mechanic behind that, you can save a ton of time, and you can really surface information where humans would have difficulties in surfacing that information, at least in that amount of time. And the same is for emerging technologies. When you look at the amount of patents out there, you look at the amount of scientific publications, you look at the amount of information available today, aggregating that and understanding what could that impact to my organization, to my products. What does it mean? Is it a disruptor? Is it an opportunity? Or is it just, it doesn't matter? That's tough. And AI can support that big time. Next thing is ideas and opportunities. We played around a lot with a couple of our larger and long-term customers where we're doing some co-development. And it turns out that AI is actually quite good in coming up with ideas, quite good at evaluating ideas in a certain context, and quite good in aggregating ideas to, this could be a project, this could be a R&D program, maybe even. And AI is actually quite good in understanding, for example, this is an opportunity, this is what your organization can do or is doing today, and now bringing that together and understanding, like, is it actually really an opportunity, and how long would it take to get products into that opportunity? AI is quite good at that. And the next thing is, of course, in R&D operations. R&D operations is a tough cookie to crack. So sometimes you have thousands of programs running, or hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of individual R&D projects. You're lacking oversight, and optimizing your R&D portfolio against your strategy and against your opportunities is also quite something AI could help you. So we basically went down this end-to-end innovation, call it roadmap, call it big picture, and tried to figure out at which point can AI support the human to be faster, to be more efficient, to be more direct, or simply to just save you a little bit of time or something. Yeah? And I believe there's huge potential. We will see a lot of that today. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And I think, the value of AI in managing complexity and scaling and speeding up, this is quite clear. I think few businesses need convincing here. But innovation management software, there are, of course, many companies out there doing innovation, known for innovation, that are doing it without ITONICS. So what's your message to companies today that are innovating without a platform?
There are not many left? No, there's a lot, for sure. Very good question. So, of course, you can be innovative in chaos. And basically, every startup, or most of the startups, they came up with one brilliant product idea or one brilliant service idea, and they disrupted an industry with that, or they defined a new category with that. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, yeah, wow, this is a great product. I didn't even think of that. Yeah? So it's oftentimes a combination of a new technology with some market pull, some hidden needs, and combining that and creating a company out of that. That's basically how startups work. And if you go back in time, every large organization today started like that, with a simple idea. But as soon as you have a certain level of complexity in an organization, it's harder and harder and harder to keep that pace in innovating. And that's what we see oftentimes with very large organizations. They could be innovative, but it's so tough to coordinate all these people, all these activities, the plans, the R&D labs, and getting all that together is just tough. Of course, you can do that on a local level with your Excel spreadsheets and your PowerPoint slide decks and a couple of online collaboration tools or something, like Slack channel or something. But if you want to be systematic about innovating over and over and over again, you need this kind of methodology, and ideally, you need a software to support you. You can do it without, but it's kind of tough.
Yeah, and I think we'll learn a lot more about that today and see some of these exciting new product features that make all of this possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, great. So next up, we're going to see how ITONICS works in the real world at enterprise scale. So we're so honored to have with us today Michael Wunsch, who's responsible for technology intelligence at Volkswagen CARIAD. And he's going to share with us how their team is using ITONICS to power Volkswagen's digital future. This is truly the big picture in practice. So joining Michael to help take us through this journey is Ilona, our Senior Customer Success Manager at ITONICS. But before we get them both up here on stage, we've got a short video from CARIAD showcasing their mission to reinvent the in-car digital experience for millions of drivers across the Volkswagen Group.
You won't see us on the road, but we're there. In every turn, every signal, every experience. We're like an invisible power. We're not talking horsepower, but code. At CARIAD, we create the code that powers the cars of the Volkswagen Group for a smooth, safe, and more entertaining journey. When we team up, that's when your car turns into a true digital companion. How can I help? But to make it happen, it takes more than simple code. That's why we focus on the systems that matter most, where software meets the road. Infotainment, automated driving, connectivity and cloud, motion and energy. Not as isolated systems, but as scalable platforms that evolve with every vehicle, across brands, across generations, built to scale. None of this happens by chance. It's our experts who make the difference. Engineers, architects, developers, thinkers. Driven by precision and one goal: to develop the software that brings vehicles to life. We're not here for the spotlight, but we're in every screen. every update, every moment of connection. The tech behind the scenes, driving automotive software within the Volkswagen Group. We are CARIAD.
Thanks, everyone. Powerful message, right? I love how CARIAD positions itself as the invisible power. There's millions of lines of code shaping how we experience a car, as a driver, as a passenger. And behind the code, there's experts, there's teams, and we have one of those teams today on stage. That's a team that's thinking years ahead already and shaping the future of the Volkswagen Group cars. Thanks, Michael, for joining today's session. Let's start simple. Can you quickly introduce yourself, what you're doing in CARIAD, and how you're shaping the future of the Volkswagen Group?
Yeah, sure. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me and letting me give you a little bit of an insight on what we do at CARIAD and what I do there. So I'm at the Market Intelligence team. The Market Intelligence is responsible for looking outside the company, looking what's happening on the market, all the market activities. We do that as part of the bigger product strategy department. So that means, of course, we are responsible for these 4 synergetic technology areas you have seen in the image video. My role in that team is heading the technology intelligence activities, so looking especially in the technology areas. And also, I'm responsible for the CARIAD Future Hub, which is based on the ITONICS OS.
Perfect. Thanks so much. You mentioned your team is called Market Intelligence and Technology. That sounds impressive, but also a bit mysterious. Can you walk us behind the curtains and let us know how your day-to-day job actually works, and also why an organization like CARIAD actually needs a business unit like yours?
Market intelligence is the first building block in this funnel towards a future competitive portfolio for CARIAD. So as you can see, we have market intelligence as the input with all the information from competitors, from customers, from technology activities, and also we try to have an outlook on future developments, so what will happen probably in the next steps. And all of this information is gathered by us. We try to analyze it, evaluate it, and then also give specific call to actions to the strategic teams. And they then derive from that the strategic initiatives and the technology push. And this then hopefully leads to a future portfolio, which makes us hopefully competitive and even more competitive than before.
Perfect, thanks. I think that quite good illustrates what's on your radar, how much work you have to do. And I think it's not easy to make sense of all the data that you're collecting. What would you say is your toughest challenge and the biggest pain points that you and your team are facing?
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, there's a lot of data out there. We need to kind of find out what is really relevant for CARIAD, what really fits our strategic technology areas. And so this is one of the main challenges, trying to identify what's relevant, and then we will only put the relevant information into our platform. Then also organizing that, I think there really helps all the search, filtering, and structuring functionalities we can use, making transparent to everybody, because although CARIAD maybe is the invisible power, we really need to make sure that our information is visible to all of CARIAD. It can really be seen so that everybody can work with it. And then also, of course, we need to make it understandable to management. So there's really the visualization of radars, roadmaps, etc. That really helps to demonstrate what that means. What does the information mean, and how does it affect our products?
So basically, you already brought in ITONICS, which is helping you in solving those problems, right? How, in particular, does ITONICS help you accelerate?
I think with all the structuring and filtering, this is one key area of making the data more usable, working with it in our future hub. Then also, of course, providing all the visualization opportunities where we can just click and go, and then we can make data available, visual to everybody, usable, and also we can work with it, have live updates on it. And then one I think was especially interesting for us is all the connectivities between the elements. So you can have relationships, right? Between different elements, and so we can really show how maybe one technology is used by another competitor, how that maybe is affected by other market activities we can see in the news. So all these connectivities between different elements really helps us understand better what's happening out there.
Awesome. Is there a concrete use case or example that you can give the audience, which kind of illustrates a bit in more real life how ITONICS brings you value?
Yeah, I think I can best explain it with kind of a workflow, how that often works for us. So we do news screening and also event screening regularly. So we look at what is happening in the news sphere outside of our company. And then also we monitor events like the CES, like the IAA in Munich, etc. And all that gives us new insights, new clues, new data, which we can then use in the platform and put it in a, let's say, for example, technology radar. And then we can show on the technology radar what is new, how that maybe moves over time, a certain technology. And then we can connect this to a competitor. And then also we make available in the platform our reports, our analysis, then based on all of these insights. So it's the single source of truth for all our market intelligence data. And that's really beneficial, I think, to everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for making that clear to us. I think that also shows how you are kind of connecting the dots between everything that you're monitoring and also to make it visible to the whole organization. Now I would like to zoom out a bit again and get a sense of the bigger picture. What would you say is the overall goal and value that your team and ITONICS is delivering to CARIAD, and what are your achievements so far with the platform?
Yeah, I think, again, probably this transparency. So making data visible, making insights visible to everybody, this is really our main goal. And I think we achieved that. I think for us, at least, our platform already has over 5,000 users from CARIAD in the platform, which are actively using it. We have a weekly newsletter, which is being sent out with all the insights, with all the new reports, which is even now being used by other departments who want to join and also make their insights known. And I think the best indicator for our success is that even other departments are now asking, and other companies in the Volkswagen Group are asking to join and to make, to benefit from the platform. And I think that shows what we did and that it works.
Love it. I think that's really showing the success, right? If you're proactively approached by other business units that want to join the platform, I think that's really a main indicator of your success. Now a slightly different topic that was around the event already, and I think like a buzzword that's around business for quite some time already, which is artificial intelligence. We started the talk with the metaphor of CARIAD being the invisible power for the car and the car experience. Now I would like to take that metaphor forward and get a sense of what you think how AI could also become the invisible power to your team and market intelligence.
Yeah, I like that comparison with the AI being the invisible power. And in that case, for sure. I mean, AI definitely, I think, will have huge impact on also for us, especially in identifying relevant information, all of these massive data pools we have, but also finding these connections between different activities on the market. Let's say there are different competitors, other market players, news and technologies out there we have in the platform. We hope that this can really help identify patterns in all of these data, which we then can, of course, easier and faster identify and then work with it, use that for our strategic initiatives. And of course, it can also help create the content better and hopefully make also it easier to work with when you can kind of maybe conversationally interact with the data. I think that's also something we would look forward to.
Awesome. Super excited what the future kind of holds. Thanks so much for joining, Michael. Thanks for kind of walking us behind the scenes of what you're doing at CARIAD and how you make CARIAD future-proof. Join me in giving a warm round of applause for Michael.
All right. Thank you so much, Ilona. Thank you, Michael. I love this message of the invisible power. And I think this is something that we would really strive for ourselves as ITONICS, to be this invisible power, powering companies in innovation. So that was great. Thank you. It's now time for the exciting reveal of our new features, new capabilities, and new ways of working for innovation and R&D teams. It's also the practical part, because if you were hooked with the promise of answering where to play, how to win, and what to execute, but you're wondering what that looks like in ITONICS, we've got the product team with us today to show us how. how the ITONICS Innovation OS is ready to scale the work you just saw, connecting the dots, boosting collaboration, and adapting to your teams, with AI integrated at each step for faster work and sharper judgment. To kick us off, we have our Chief Product Officer, Pierre.
Hello everyone. I grew up spending summer in my grandmother's farm. Up before sunrise, tending to the cow, planting tomatoes and potatoes. On a farm, you learn fast. Nothing grows by accident. You need patience, tools, and a sense for the incoming weather. Innovation is the same. Far too often, we plant ideas into poor soil. We don't have project visibilities, and we hope the weather cooperates. Today, I want to show you how we are farming innovation. Let's be honest, innovation is fragmented. You run R&D, you manage portfolio, you track trends, you generate thousands of ideas, but projects get stuck. The dots don't connect. And it's not just inside your organization. Innovation is an ecosystem. You need universities, startups, ventures, partners. And synchronizing them is even harder. Applying governance, giving visibility, is a daily struggle. At ITONICS, we believe innovation needs one place, one home. A place where every idea, projects, trends, technologies connect. So we asked ourselves three questions. What if ecosystem collaborates seamlessly with university, partners, startups, all in one space? What if R&D, portfolio manager, transcouter were working inside a single OS? What if the software adapted to you instead of you adapting to it? This is the future we are building to cultivate, nurture, and grow the best innovation OS. And today, we are proud to show it to you.
How will your company innovate? What could be an opportunity? And what could be a potential risk? What could be a potential threat? Innovation is about timing. Evaluate emerging technologies. Understand change. Where to play. How to win. What to execute.
All right, that's what the new innovation encapsulates. One ecosystem, one workspace, one OS for innovation. We are so excited to deep dive into everything that you just saw. We'll speak about four major areas: governance, ecosystem collaboration, adaptability, and PRISM. And to do so, I'm really happy to invite Emily on stage with me, our senior innovation consultant at ITONICS.
Hello again.
We are going to talk about governance and processes, which can sometimes become a little bit chaotic, with great projects and ideas being lost due to unclear stage, no rules, no owners. So at the end, innovation risks to become a buzzword rather than a business driver. So my question to you, Emily, how can we use the Innovation OS to make sure that you are applying your governance?
Thanks, Pierre. That's right. And in innovation and R&D, when we talk about governance, we really are talking about process. And with experience of years working with teams and organizations, it's not that teams lack a process, it's that the process lives in documents. It's not in the work. So ITONICS embeds governance in the workflow where teams operate. And this way, the next step, the owner, and the path are always clear. Our new process builder tool can be adapted to fit any process, any governance structure, from startup and trend scouting to idea or portfolio management. But here today, we'll demonstrate the process builder through a technology management process. One path from signal to scale. In the discover phase, scanning is systematic. Patents, startups, research papers, everything is captured in a standardized way and linked to the problem that it addresses. No gaps, no duplicates. Next, in assess, this is where candidates are first filtered against clear criteria like impact, technology readiness, and internal know-how. These are evaluated by stakeholders or experts for a collaborative view and a decision of whether to move forward with the technology or park it. Next, in incubate phase, a small contained experiment is run to test the basics. Here you may iterate and refine a few times. The purpose is to develop and validate the tech before progressing to the pilot phase. Now, it's all about testing the technology in a real setting with real constraints. Here, you'll measure and record performance, security, cost, and user acceptance. This is all about making a decisive call if the tech is ready to scale. Technologies that do hit the scale or transfer phase are handed over to accountable owners with agreed budgets and timelines for delivery. History, decisions, and evidence travel with the technology. So handovers are clean and nothing is reinvented. A final phase that helps maintain the health and hygiene of your portfolio is retire. Obsolete technologies are decommissioned, promising but paused ones are put on a watch list with a review date. It's important that lessons are always captured to avoid repeat work. Momentum here comes from simple, good governance delivered through the process builder. Each phase asks for the right evidence, each gate names approvers, ownership switches at the gate, and notifications reach the people who must act. All of this rolls up into a clear view of what sits where, what's blocked, and why. And this view is essential for leaders and decision makers so they can make the high-level decisions around prioritization, budget, and strategy. So that's technology management with real governance, all made seamless with the ITONICS process builder. Clear steps, accountable decisions, evidence before investment, and a path that teams can actually follow.
So that means every idea, technology, and project has a chance to grow.
Exactly, but in innovation, this growth rarely happens in isolation. It's one thing to run governance inside a single workspace. It's another to engage an entire ecosystem. So maybe you invite your entire workforce into a campaign, or you run an open call for partners. Suddenly, you might have hundreds or thousands of contributors across organizations, startups, academia, often each using different tools and different channels. So it can get complex pretty quickly.
Yeah, Emily. Working with ecosystem means usually using a lot of tools, Microsoft Forms, SharePoint, even some custom website. But not anymore with ITONICS sites. You can build internal or external website. Let's start simple. I will create a form. And then choose the title, for example, Submit Your Startup. Then you can link startup as an element type, for example, rename it to Submit Your Startup, add maybe a quick description, and just like this, the form is ready. You can click and add different questions if you want, the contact information, the website that you want to collect. Then you can publish it directly, and it will be online. When someone is submitting a form, their input doesn't get lost into a spreadsheet. So for example, let's create ITONICS Innovation and create this startup. It will flow directly into ITONICS, into your pipeline, with your governance and processes. Now, let's go bigger. With ITONICS sites, you can create a campaign, an innovation campaign. Again, we can choose the title, for example, IONX 25. And then editing is simple. Click on the text and change it. add images, instruction, and more by clicking on it. Site can be public or private or open to anyone of your organization. For an ID campaign, I can select an ID element type, for example, and configure the notifications that I want if I want to alert someone. Then, using this template, I can participate to this campaign directly from this custom website. And for example, submit an ID. Again, all contribution lands directly into ITONICS with processes, governance, ownerships, and rules. Is that the limit? Not at all. For maximum flexibility, let's create an open innovation website. So we will call it IONX or Open Innovation. And directly within the code builder, I can go beyond templates and write, for example, hello ITONICS. And now, the exciting part. It's AI ready. I can ask any AI to generate a template for an open innovation landing with my company context. Copy, paste it inside the ITONICS site builder. And in 5 seconds, you get this amazing website. And then I can create pages, form pages, multiple form pages. I can also configure again the form. And we can create also other pages for these sites, maybe some program pages. So I will create a page program, and again, I can copy-paste the HTML directly inside this page. So with ITONICS sites, you can build anything. Thanks to the visual editor, you can polish everything. You can click to a title like we saw before. But you can also click on button and edit the link of the button and to bind it to a page or a program. Again, we can attach a page, the program page, or another button. Thanks to the visual editor, everything is smooth. So with ITONICS sites, you can build anything. A form, a campaign, an open innovation platform, a showroom for your internal projects, a crowdsourcing platform, and much more. Thanks to ITONICS sites, you can bring your employees, startup, university, and partners into a single workspace. That's how we are connecting ecosystem. That's ITONICS sites.
Wow, that's amazing. Pierre, that's amazing. So with these new product features, we have clearer processes, check. A collaborative and very dynamic ecosystem, check. And you've shown with sites how it is very configurable and adaptable to companies' needs. And that's so important because every team, every organization, they have a different set of needs, a different way of working. And we know there's no one size fits all when it comes to innovation. So how does ITONICS adapt to the many and varied other use cases that we see in the real world?
Yes, that's a good question, Emily. Most enterprise software are built around features. You log in, and the navigation is a list of modules. Radar, view, board, matrix. But this is not how organization thinks and work. You are not thinking in terms of features. You think in use cases. You run a campaign. You scout some startup. You manage a portfolio. So for the first time, ITONICS is not a feature-based tool, but a workspace use cases. And here is a new navigation. Instead of a rigid set of modules, you can build it and organize it in your way. Just like with tools you already know, you can drag and reorder everything. Now imagine that you're running a campaign. You can create a folders. And inside these folders, you can add multiple views. You don't need to jump between radar and board and matrix, everything into a single directory. For the first time, your navigation adapts to the way that you are working. With ITONICS sites, you organize the way your innovation projects and team actually work. This is how we are farming innovation. One platform, one innovation OS, unlimited use cases.
Love it. That's amazing. Thank you, Pierre. And I love the farming analogy. And while you painted this very romantic, bucolic picture in the beginning there, even agriculture is all about AI and automation today. And so with that, let's add the final layer, or maybe it's the thread that connects it all. And so let's get our senior AI product manager, Johannes, up here to show us what's newly possible when AI is built into the workflow.
Thanks, Emily, for the kind introduction. So I know what you're probably thinking, another AI tool, right? The world is full of AI tools at the moment. We have all the greatness of the Silicon Valley, ChatGPT, Gemini, so why on earth would we need another AI tool? And the truth is, these tools are really amazing. They can draft a perfect email for you. They can write a blog post within a second. They can answer every common knowledge question you might throw at them. And they even helped me to prepare the speech today. But let me ask you this, in a business context, did they ever help you to make better business decisions, or did they just create content for you? Have they ever told you if your company works with state-of-the-art technologies, if your project portfolio is actually aligned to your strategy, or if one of your projects is quietly burning budget without even you knowing it? The answer to that is no. Because they don't know your company. They are not company aware. So take a look at this slide. This chart shows us where today's AI tool most often pull their answers from when it comes to web search. Reddit, YouTube, Wikipedia. User-generated content, not validated and not sense-checked. It's fantastic if you want to argue about last night's soccer game, but it's not so fantastic if you want to decide whether to bet million on a new project or not. And this is why generative AI hits a bit of a ceiling in business, in my opinion, because it doesn't connect to your reality. And that's why we created ITONICS PRISM.
How will your company innovate? Lead the future with 3 pillars of enterprise software. PRISM AI, engineered by ITONICS.
So the world is moving faster than ever. New technologies, new competitors, new regulations every day. The landscape shifts permanently. It's hard to keep track and even easier to lose focus. And inside the company, the strategy comes from the top, which is fine, but once it's set, it starts to shift. So is our strategy still aligned to tangible projects? Are our portfolios cross-checked against what's happening outside the company walls? No easy answers to that, but that's exactly why we created PRISM. PRISM is like ChatGPT or Gemini, but it knows exactly what's going on inside your company walls. And it can also connect to the outside company walls. It can scout market and tech signals, and all connected to your strategy. Ultimately, it helps you to make better innovation decisions. Now, all this sounds great in theory, right? But let me show you what it feels like in practice. I will walk you through a couple of use cases where you can use PRISM in your company. So let's put ourselves in the shoes of an R&D technology manager in the automotive software industry. So what's one of our biggest challenges? Keeping up to date with all relevant technologies. So as a technology manager, I want to build up a system to monitor and evaluate the current technologies. And for that, we can build up a technology radar with PRISM. So I can just ask PRISM, can you scan recent patterns in articles and create relevant technologies for me? So now it will go to the outside world, and just like that, PRISM starts its work. In the meantime, I want to open up a radar visualization so we can plot all the technologies on the radar. And as you can see, there are already a couple of technologies on our radar. PRISM is now smart enough to compare first against our inside worlds, so against what we already know, against the existing technologies. And it also scans the outside world with recent patterns in research. So let's have a look what it found. So there's neutral process units with Edge AI, which is relevant for autonomous driving, containerized applications for over-the-air updates, and homomorphic encryption for data processing and analytics of vehicle data. So I would say that's quite a nice job. So if we're satisfied with the results, we build in a human-in-the-loop concept. So we just can accept them or reject them. And if we accept them, these technologies are automatically added to the outside of our radar. And now, if we zoom in a bit and look at the technology profile, you can see they already come with a title and an abstract, but of course they're lacking a bit of more information, so we know exactly what this technology means to our organization. We'll come to that in a second. But first, you might have recognized that these technologies are already highly relevant for the automotive industry. So how comes I didn't write that in my prompt, right? So we have introduced something we call the master context. So here, in the master context, you can input your strategy, your goals, and your core mission. And on top, you can also link relevant strategy elements. In that case, we're linking elements that have the recommended action, where the recommended action is act. And that means every prompt we're throwing against PRISM is always contextualized against our strategy. And so we stay highly up to date and always have the correct things in our portfolio. So now, back to our created technologies, right? I said there's a bit of information still missing. So we first want to segment those technologies. And we can just ask PRISM here, can you segment them? And we'll do that for the existing ones as well, because we want to double check. So we can again browse through the results here and verify each. So we see that it found the segment ICT, or cybersecurity, for software verification, the segment AI for explainable AI, and the segment fuel and cells for dual batteries, which belongs to chemicals and materials, and so on and so forth, right? So PRISM knows where our elements belong, to which segment. And again, if we're satisfied with the results, we can just accept all, and magically all the elements will move into the right segmentation. Now, this is just one part, because we still need to evaluate what does this technology mean to our company, right? Do we need to take action here? And again, I can leverage PRISM here, and I can just ask it, can you rate these technologies? Again, it will start its work, it will give us a bit of a reasoning, what's it exactly doing, and then it will produce the outputs and rate all technologies that are on our radar. And again, we can browse through the results here and verify them. And here's the significant part. PRISM doesn't just give you a plain rating, it also explains why it rates it like that. So you can see the reasoning right here when I hover over the rating. So here it points out that the dual battery management could have a significant impact on the driving range, which is still a huge problem for some EVs. So and once we're confident and verified all the results, we can put them on the radar by, again, clicking Accept All. And just like that, we have a fully evaluated technology radar within 5 minutes. So now, we have created a radar. What's next? So we know what's going on in the outside world, what emerging technologies might be relevant for us. But of course, identifying what comes next is only half of the story. Most companies already come with an existing project portfolio, right? And that brings us to the second use case, portfolio health. Here, PRISM doesn't just help you look outwards, it helps you look inward and check your existing portfolio from a strategic angle and an operational angle. So first, so that we all know what we're speaking about here, I will ask PRISM directly what is our current strategy in the company. So it will now go and find the strategy elements that we inputted and return it back to us. And in total, we can see 6 strategies here, but only 3 of them have the recommended action ACT. So at the moment, we're focusing on cybersecurity, autonomous driving readiness, and global compliance. For better readability, I can also simply expand the table and see additional fields like budgets, left budget consumed, capabilities and assets, and so on. So now, here comes the interesting part. I'm asking PRISM now which projects support our strategies and which ones should be stopped. And again, it takes now the whole project portfolio and compares it against what we have as strategy from the top management. So let's have a look at the results. What PRISM finds is simple here. While most projects align well with the company's core strategies, 2 projects stand out as misaligned. There's a project called Blockchain Data Marketplace, which is not tied to the core mission. And also the in-car entertainment project is not a priority. That's why PRISM recommends us to stop those projects. So we've done now the strategic fit. But now we're trying to look at it from a more operational angle as well. So I will ask it to analyze the portfolio health and also suggest health updates for each project. So now PRISM is looking into the planned budget, the consumed budget, the project progress, and recommends updates for the health status for every project. And by the way, I didn't put any guardrails here, I just wanted to see what it can do. But if you have a more rigid system of categorizing what is critical to you, you can just put it in a master context and it will follow exactly these instructions. So let's have a look at the results here. So PRISM did add a health status for each project and gives us a quick summary at the end. So operationally, it seems that half of our portfolio needs attention. So 2 projects are critical, they have fully exhausted their budget and overrun it, and 2 are challenging, both burning through the budget with very little progress. So if I would be the portfolio manager now, I would call my project managers and set up a meeting. So we've built up a technology radar. We should have a strategically aligned project portfolio by now. So the remaining question is, did we leverage all of our budgets and did we invest the right amount in the right strategy? And again, we can just consult PRISM here by asking which strategies did not consume their budget so far. And we can go even a step further and ask it to suggest 2 completely new projects to fill that void. So, PRISM has informed us here that we have a budget of 10 million left for the self-driving strategy. And there's 1 million left for the global safety and security. And it also has suggested 2 new projects, a learning platform for self-driving and a container orchestration for software-defined electronic vehicles. So if I find one of these suggestions interesting, I can just add them to my portfolio with 1 click. So and again, there's not much information in there except of a title and an abstract so far, but of course, you don't need to write all of this description on your own. So you can just use PRISM here again, because we build it into each and every RTE field. So you can just click on Ask AI, and you have basically every framework at your fingertips. You can basically do a SWOT analysis or use a business model canvas to describe this project. And again, PRISM knows we are in the context of the project now, so you don't need to give it any further context. You just can type this project, and it will use a very nice business model canvas and describe the project further. So if you like what you're seeing, you just hit the save button and the table is saved into our field. Okay, let's say we are satisfied with the project suggestions. We can also ask PRISM to allocate the remaining budget that is open, right? Remember, we had 10 million open for the learning platform and 1 million for the container orchestration. And again, with a simple prompt, the remaining budget of the strategy is allocated, and we just can accept the suggestion, and our budgets are up to date. Now, there's just one final step missing. Of course, the project have now consumed the budgets, so we also need to up the budget from the strategy. And at the end of the day, we should see a 0 here. So that means we're leveraging all of our strategies to the fullest and have everything assigned to the project portfolio. And as you can see, if I hit the Accept Now button, then the remaining budgets will be added, and we have no budget left, and everything is fully aligned.
Amazing. Thank you, Johannes. And I wonder if Volkswagen CARIAD was still paying attention to some of those project ideas? But yes, you've shown us how PRISM already changes the way that organizations connect intelligence and strategy and portfolios today. But this is all changing so quickly. So if you look, say, 1 year ahead, where do you see PRISM evolving?
So today, we saw a lot of chain of thought prompting, right? One prompt accepted, one prompt accepted. So the future will look much more automated. So we're aiming for something where you can directly attach an agent into a human workflow, and this agent takes over a human task.
This is a bit what you talked about before, this sort of human in the loop concept, which I really like. I think this resonates a lot. And it really describes this new kind of collaboration where humans and AI don't just coexist, but they share the same workspace. So can you talk a bit more about how that would actually kind of look and feel in practice?
Yeah, so we're thinking of like a shared workflow, which is co-owned by human and co-owned by AI. Everybody doing what he can do best. So basically, let's take a concrete task. So for instance, the AI could run a market research for a new concept or check if a similar idea already exists, or even doing a full competitor analysis. So these things are very easy to automate and could lift a lot of the human counterparts.
That's such a meaningful shift, I think, in the way teams will work. So yeah, so exciting. Thank you so much again. Big round of applause for our entire product team and everyone involved here. We've just seen the power of the product. Now let's talk about what makes it safe to bet your business on it. This is all about trust, security, reliability, and compliance from day one. To take us through how ITONICS builds and continuously lives that trust, please welcome our Chief Operating Officer, Stephan. Great. Stephan, ITONICS has clearly invested a lot in maintaining the highest level of trust, enterprise-grade trust. Can you share with us what enterprise-grade really means and the journey ITONICS has taken to get there?
Yeah, thank you, Emily. Pleasure to do that. So actually, enterprise-grade digital trust might sound like a massive buzzword, but actually it reflects very well our DNA, our day-to-day operation, and our security culture at ITONICS. We are dealing with enterprises, we are fully digital, and actually we own trust by our clients, providing their data to us, processing their critical data as one of the most valuable assets today in corporations. So already a long time ago, more than 10 years back, ITONICS decided to invest a lot into information security by getting certified in the well-renowned, worldwide known standard ISO IEC 27001. As ITONICS well understood that a structured approach is fundamentally important to make sure to establish a security culture at all ends, at all processes, and for each and every employee at ITONICS. So we are proud that we are now certified more than 8 years in a row without any deviation. So we are fully committed to keep up that high standard in our day-to-day processes. Early on, we also understood evolving compliance laws around how privacy data is being processed these days through external and internal systems. And ITONICS, as a SaaS provider, certainly also processes certain privacy data by our clients. So we understood that we needed to embark concepts like privacy by default, which means all our processes are representing privacy, how PII information is being processed in our systems, in our internal systems. Privacy by design was another concept that we adopted, meaning that we enable our clients to make sure they can act in a reliable and compliant manner in the system. One example is, for instance, clients can adopt the privacy policy very flexible in our system, or can apply flexible deletion concepts for users that are not within the company anymore. Data processing agreements are established with our clients to make sure that different geographical jurisdictions can be adhered to whenever it comes to processing privacy data, which is something that is very much deviating around the globe, but our international business scope actually adheres in full to that commitment. It's not only important to have very concise and comprehensive external audits, but also to make sure that we're internally keeping track of what's going on. So we have very comprehensive internal audit programs, not only to make sure that we are auditing at certain reporting deadlines, which is the standard these days, but actually to continuously prove that our security controls are working and in effect. This is also important to get validated against third-party standards, international standards, such as NIST or SOC, for instance, which is important especially for the American hemisphere. Data sovereignty is ensured by making sure that we are very transparent in terms of how we are processing the data and the privacy data of our clients, and make sure that, for instance, cross-border data transfers are very transparent in the contracts and in our compliance checks. It's not only a starting point to be compliant and to prove compliance to the clients, but we at ITONICS, we are providing visibility on compliance throughout the entire life cycle, throughout the entire contractual lifetime with our clients. So we are continuously and repeatedly reporting our compliance state, compliance against laws and regulations, compliance against our strict security standards that we have set for ourselves. The next pillar I would like to deep dive a little bit more is information security. Information security, we are looking at it from actually 3 angles. That's why we call it multi-level information security. The one is organizational, the next is technical, and the third one is actually the application itself. On the organizational side, continuous risk assessment. Why this is also something that you can read a long line in the context of information security. This is something we have embarked on very early. Risk assessment means we are assessing risks from external, implied by laws, implied by new governmental regulations, and also technical risks. Yeah? As a third point, we also always look at the organizational side. For instance, what is our critical workforce, and can we actually operate at a level that we committed to? We are monitoring the compliance state 24/7, and actually if we detect any anomaly, we have an expert team ready, an emergency response team that is actually taking care before things are happening. Proactivity is the fundamental point here. This is not coming out of the box. We need to do something every day and continuously. Therefore, we have established training programs for all of our employees, but especially also for those who are touching technical aspects, who are developing code, who are actually doing quality assurance of our code, and the colleagues that are building the infrastructure architecture at the end. So investing into training and to keep up with the latest developments in security and technical safeguards is a fundamental part in our horizon. The organizational part enables us to make sure that we can build an infrastructure that can scale with the client workloads. And these days, we're actually seeing, of course, a rise in workloads invoked by using multifold API integrations we are providing, or using AI in the software, which makes sure that, or which is actually invoking workloads that we can provide through full scalability. The architecture needs to be secure, of course, but how could you vet a security architecture? We are working together with renowned external partners in 4I, 6I principles to make sure that any architectural change we're doing is properly vetted by several experts and having another set of eyes that is looking on the changes. Secure coding practices. All our developers are bound to strict requirements to apply secure coding practices, which are aligned to the well-known standard OWASP 10. Our infrastructure is proactively monitoring any anomaly in data logging, in data storage, and is proactively informing our expert teams about any anomalies. But what is more important, or equally important, is that we give some tools into the hands of our clients actually to fulfill their internal compliance requirements and to make sure they can adopt the solution to their organizational needs. Therefore, the Innovation OS is providing a vast role-based access control system which allows the client to incorporate its complex or sometimes complex organizational structures in terms of divisional, business unit, department, or team level into the software. And with a single sign-on, this is actually something that can be done very much automated and especially through different endpoints to allow our clients to integrate multi-divisions or, for instance, when there is a merger and acquisition. Passwordless authentication enables users and external users that are invited to the platform to make sure they have transparent, frictionless access to the platform without remembering the passwords and juggling around the passwords in password safes and whatnot. Penetration testing we are doing internally and externally. Internally, continuously with every minor major release, so it is ensured through a strict stage gate process whenever we bring code into production that it's thoroughly vetted against security practices. And of course, if we find something, we continuously remediate it in a strict time frame, time-boxed manner. Compliance at ITONICS starts from day one. And day one obviously means contracting. So we at ITONICS, we make sure that we provide transparent contracts which are working on an international basis. This goes in line with providing strict service level agreements and data processing agreements to make sure PII is adhered to. If a client has a need on tailored enterprise support, meaning specific SLA requirements, specific processes, or specific reporting around KPIs, we do provide that. We also help our clients with the initial risk assessments to onboard a software like Innovation OS into the internal product catalog. And by doing so, we are fully aligned to ITIL standards, which really helps to interconnect with the service processes on the client side. Our customer and support team is here 24/7. They get automatically alerted whenever there is a contact point from a client around the clock and from any geographical location. In addition, we are signing dedicated specialist teams at the beginning of the journey to help our clients, sometimes with pretty complex topics such as API integrations, SSO integrations, or interconnecting to external reporting systems. Our dedicated teams are here to make sure there is frictionless onboarding. Service management enterprise standards at the client are interconnected with our service management processes, meaning, for instance, we can back-to-back couple service management systems so that there is a flawless flow of ticket communication, for instance. Yeah? So we make it simple for our clients to get support from ITONICS. Quality assurance is non-negotiable. It just has to be there. As we all know, I mean, complexity, technical complexity raises some constraints and risks, and delivering 100% quality all the time. Our goal is to automate quality assurance 100%. We have continuous deployment and delivery pipelines that automatically push code into staging and production systems without human intervention. This also enables us to, for instance, provide early functions and early releases to certain clients through canary releases. And our teams are actually enabled to do so with embarking AI-powered tools on QA side and dev side, so making sure that actually we apply state-of-the-art technology also for our internal processes.
Great, thank you so much, Stephan. And I think a lot of people might think of this topic as a bit of a footnote, but at ITONICS, we take it much more seriously than that. And I thought about a good analogy for this, because I know you're a fan. So I think IT, security compliance, it's a bit like the referee at a football match. So the best referee goes unnoticed. They're not the focal point. Their role is to keep the game running smoothly, safely, and without controversy, without injury, without delay. So it's ultimately about letting the players shine and the team execute. And of course, winning is important, unlike the Nuremberg football team last Sunday. So yeah, thank you so much again for the talk. All right, so we've had a lot of inspiring talks today, and we've moved from methodology into practice, how it looks in the product, the amazing new features that are shaping the work, and more importantly, the impact for innovation and R&D teams in the future. Now it's time to zoom back out and take a glimpse at the exciting path ahead. And so to wrap things up, we have our CEO, Chris, with the outlook and vision and the 3 pillars guiding what's next for ITONICS.
So you have just seen our teams connecting collaboration, governance, planning, strategizing, artificial intelligence, paired at enterprise-grade security and scalability. Now that's coming together all in one platform. This is the ITONICS operating system. It is truly an end-to-end platform from sensing changes out in the market to delivering the right technology and the right products on time and of course on budget. And I think soon we will look back on how organizations innovated and we will think it was medieval. And treating that sort of intelligence as optional clearly will be considered a severe leadership failure in the future. If you think this is just something nice to play around with, well, probably you're missing out on something big. And that is because every organization out there is living at the intersection of 3 different realities. There is the outside world. This is all the changes that are happening in the market. That includes competition, regulation, but also changing demands. And at the same time, there is, of course, technology changing so fast that could be even disruptive to your operations. So that is your signals that are coming from the outside directly to you. And of course, much of it might be noise, but still you need to deal with it. Then there is a situation inside the company itself. And that includes capabilities you have, that is core technology, that is know-how, but also the resources you can deal with, like talent, capital, and maybe even infrastructure. And then, of course, there is the direction, more specifically the future direction, which is where you play and also where you place your bets. Now, of course, alone, these are pretty incomplete. But if you put them together in a very interesting way, then they come together as some sort of focused intelligence that is going to help you make better decisions and faster decisions to drive innovation. Now let's take one step back. Why does it all matter? Well, we think it matters because the entire economy is shifting to a slightly different model. We believe that we're entering right now the intelligence economy, where intelligence is not only artificial, but it is also abundant, it is agentic, and it is amplified. So that means in this new economy, access to high-level and high-quality intelligence is no longer scarce. You can get it basically from all the AI tools and the software that you're using. And we already see this, right? You see some of the jobs like digital labor, even some creative tasks coming down to about zero cost. It's basically on par with the cost that you're paying for using this AI-enabled software. So I think that in the future, the leaders, the winners, will not ask, how many people do I need to get a certain job done? But I think they're going to ask, how much jobs can I actually run in parallel to get this done? And that could be sensing change, sensing potentially disruptive technology in your corporate environment that you need to deal with. And of course, intelligence is also getting much more agentic. It's not just software that you give an input and then it acts on human intent, but it's actually acting on your behalf. It's proactively doing something for you. And if you pair this with the abundance of high-level, high-quality intelligence, that's basically your, 24/7, always-on team that is delivering results at a fast pace, at a high quality, and it's doing the job for you. And maybe even the biggest opportunity is that intelligence is not only artificial, but is going to help you to amplify where you and your teams are already good at. So, for example, if you're good at strategizing, if you're good at coming up with an idea for a product, for a research project, well, the AI that we have built is going to 10x that capability of you and your team. And if you're struggling with something, maybe it's watching out and tracking all of the emerging technologies and the disruptive tech that might come at you, well, with the update, PRISM has got your back. So at ITONICS, the mission always has been to make innovation systematic, to make it scalable, and to make it secure. And with all the changes, the technological and also societal changes that just keep on accelerating, we are now giving you the tools to deal with that change. And so you're invited to test them out whenever you want. And there is a lot to do, so let's get it done together. Thanks for your energy today.